Hello, everyone. Welcome to Lathe and Loom. Thought I'd try something a little bit different today and do a live stream to mainly reduce the editing a little bit this week because kind of had a lot going on. Just wanted to catch you up on a few projects and hope that you're all doing well. And if you're watching, please let us know where you're joining from. It is a balmy, I think 96 degrees here in Eastern North Carolina. Definitely getting into our full-on summer. So, which does not mean that we are forgetting about our summer knits or winter knits, because I'm still got some winter knits going too. So got an update today on, I think, all knitting projects. So we'll kind of get started with that. So the first project I've been mainly working on is the Breezeway tee. This is a pattern by Aylor. It's one that I've knit before, and I am knitting this up in a yarn by Miss Babs. It was a show colorway for the Carolina Fiber Fest 2025 called Spring and Pullin Park. So give you another preview of that. It's just a really pretty, it's kind of grays and blues and purples. I have a pair of sort of gray blue shorts that I think it's going to look really nice with. So I love that this garter neckline is just a really, it's a really nice way to start the project because you're knitting flat. And it's just a really nice finish. So I was very comfortable. I have a royal blue one, kind of in a tonal. I'm really comfortable wearing it to work. It uses a compound raglan. So you're doing yoke style increases for a period, and then you're picking up and doing raglan decreases. It's just got a nice detail there. So I am done with that. I've split for the sleeves, and then there's a few increases in the body. This is the point that the designer recommends that you block it. So I've blocked this now. I will measure. I knit there's a number of, she actually suggests blocking it before I knit this last little bit, but I went ahead and knit that so that I could have one good measure of consistent knitting in the round to, then you're just kind of figuring the remaining length for the body. And then it uses the same garter edging on the bottom. There are short rows in the back to make the back dip just a little bit, which I love. So it's just a really nice finish. And then the sleeves have an interesting, some short rows to kind of close up the armhole, and then you use that same garter stitch on the sleeve. So we're pretty close. It was a good travel project because I just have my stitch counter, got one of those chain counters, and was able to pretty easily not look too often at the pattern, although I should have looked at the last increase row, which I did not need. So I had to fudge the count as I split for the sleeves, but there was only a few stitches. So I think we're fine there. And it blocked up beautifully, no bleeding or anything on there. So that is the Breezeway by Aylor. I made some notes, so I'd stay on track. And of course, I went right past the opening. So just a couple of places, reminder where you can find me, since and I can put that maybe in the chat, but it is in the show notes. So once this publishes, fine, you will see that in the show notes. But I'm on Instagram as @LatheandLoom, Facebook @LatheandLoom. I'm not particularly active there, but I do like to have a little bit of presence. And then Ravelry is at Cher 5413. So all that is in the show notes, as well as my email. We are running, I am running the Teas and Tanks make along. So this is a knit along for teas and tanks, regardless, summer or winter, depending on which hemisphere you're joining in. I've got some folks joining. We've got a small chat group going on Instagram. And last week, with YouTube's change, I did also open the community tab on the Lathe and Loom channel here on YouTube. So I would invite you to go over and check that out and leave a post. You can share what you're working on. I'd be really like to get the teas and tanks make along kind of going over there to just, I know there's some folks who don't use Instagram. So, you know, the world of social media ever changing. So, but just trying to connect with as many folks as possible there. So I'm glad to check, make sure got the chat. So yeah, that's what we've got there. And that is running. So the Teas and Tanks Make Along running June, July, and August 2025, if you're watching later. And next week's podcast, I will have instructions in the video on entering a giveaway for, I will be giving 1 or 2 patterns of your choice from Ravelry, just, you know, single pattern to kind of help promote maybe something that you wish you were working on and haven't purchased yet and would like to work on. So Breezeway has been the one that I've been working on primarily this week, but I also picked up with my many whips, the Phoebe top. This is a pattern by Aimee Cher, and I'm using the Wool Dreamers Sauna, 50% wool, 50% cotton. And I tell you what, you know, again, this is a small needle project, but I am just really enjoying trying to be conscious and not hold stuff up and talk. So that's my delay when I'm showing it off. But so here's where I am. This is a bottom up pattern, all over cable. And there we go, maybe. With small and large cables on there. So I'm knitting up to a certain amount. This is obviously bottom up, and then I will split for the sleeves. I am worried. I've read a little bit through the pattern. It does seem kind of complicated. I think I want to do the bust darts. I'm going to knit to the length where I would do that, and then make a decision. It's not sure. But I am, and I'm doing the curvy option. I think I'm doing size 3, but all of that is in my Ravelry. I've been trying to really be good about updating my Ravelry project page as we go forward. So there's that there. Very good. So that is the Phoebe top by Aimee Cher. And it's really nice because once you establish you do the ribbing, establish the pattern. And once you've established the pattern, you don't need to look at the pattern again until you get to the number of inches kind of for those next steps. So I'm finding it just kind of like when you want a little more than stockinette, but you don't want to have to look at a pattern. It's just a really nice, engaging knit. So enjoying that. And I really like the fabric that Wool Dreamers Sauna is knitting up. So I'm interested. I have really been looking at other fibers, you know, to pair with wool. So wool blends. I don't particularly love plant fibers, but I do have several that I'm trying this year, trying to get through that. I don't dislike them, but on their own. So the idea of blending the plant fiber or silk, obviously, is not plant fiber, but with the wool or another animal fiber to kind of lighten it up for the warmer climate, I think is really, really interesting. So definitely have been doing a lot of exploration with that. I'm looking now for a bamboo. And then my to be cast on, I talked about this a little bit last time, and I posted some. I purchased some from the Linde Hobby website, some Drops Bell, which I had not worked with before, and you will have seen this if you follow on Instagram. I may have posted it here too. So Drops Bell in the black and white. Let's see if I have the colorways on here. The black is color 8, and the white or cream really is color 26. So, and this is a blend of 53% cotton, 33% viscose, and 14% linen. So I think the viscose, I mean, I've seen where viscose is from bamboo, and then I've seen where it's synthetic. In this case, when I looked it up, I'm not 100% that it tells for sure what it is. But anyway, I am using this for a Lusk tee, which is a pattern by Rebecca Clow. I have gauge swatched. I think it was recommended for a US 7, and I did not write down the conversion on that, sorry. And I don't know. I usually am a really loose knitter, and I usually have to, it does have a nice drape, this fabric. You can see that. Really nice drape, and I think it's going to be nice and cool. It doesn't feel, I mean, it has some stretch to it, you know, unlike just a straight plant-based fiber. So I am really interested to work it up. It feels very nice. I think it'll feel very cool on. Anyway, but I'm struggling with the gauge. I am a pretty loose knitter, and I tend to have to go down 1 or sometimes 2 needle sizes. So I swatched with, if the pattern recommended US 7, I swatched with the US 6. It was too small. I went up to the 7. It's still too small, but I really don't like the fabric. I think it would be too open with a US 8. So I am going to start and go ahead and cast on with the 7, because as you've seen in some of my past projects, gauge swatching, I mean, no matter how good I'm trying to be about being consistent and relaxed and the same way I would knit, somehow when I convert to knitting in the garment, my gauge changes, and it does tend to grow. I mean, my disastrous knitting for olive experiment last year, where could put 2 Amiee in, was hilarious. So trying to avoid that. So I think what I'm going to do is cast on with the 7, and then just know that I'm going to have to put it on, try on tubing, and just really, really try it on quite often, right? So more to come on that. So I am hoping to get that cast on today to have for some travel knitting later on this week. So that is kind of the primary knits. I am also still knitting away on the habitation throw. It's actually sitting on the stool, but I'll share that in the next episode with you. And let's see, how far are we up to here? Sure, somewhere this tells me, 13 minutes. There we go. So we're doing all right. I did get some happy mail this week, which, so I joined the Love and Stitches membership, that is Knitting Addie's YouTube channel, private, membership. And they had some sock week. I don't think these were limited to the membership. This was not a limited one, but some sock week different products. And So Happy Jane had the Huckleberry, it doesn't say on here, but I think it's the Huckleberry Pie colorway. And she had some that were just a little bit different either. I think she called it extra sprinkles and extra syrup, and I don't remember which one I got. I think it might be extra syrup because it's a little pink, but I just thought this was so pretty. So, I mean, I'm not the hugest sock knitter, although I do have 3 on the needles. They're all close to done. I need to just knock them out. But anyway, I just thought this was really, really pretty. So I went ahead and dove in. So I will be joining for Sock Week. And I've put the link to the So Happy Jane website in the show notes below. There's just her card there. And so that, and then, oh, one other project. So I think I mentioned on the last podcast, my poor teapot that is being kept warm with a pot holder. So I did dig out a couple of just, this is a hand-dyed, no, this is a hand-dyed skein. And this is just, I think, a Cascade 20. And these are actually, I noticed when I did the test yesterday, they look really bright on the camera, but they were better in the video. Anyway, they're not as bright as it is appearing to me at this moment. It's kind of more of a, I don't know, maroon red. Anyway, and I've cast on one of those kind of traditional tea cozy. So I don't really have a pattern. I looked at some YouTube videos. I looked at a couple of free patterns, but you're essentially knitting the same number of stitches every other color, or you're alternating colors. And you're in the back, you're pulling this quite tight so that as I go up, and you can't really see it now, but they actually are starting to sort of bubble. But each one, so it's interesting. And I wonder if I can show it. I was watching Call the Midwife last night, and in the behind the character that was talking, they actually had, I'm in episode 11. They actually, let's see if it'll show. I don't know if you can see that, but they actually had a very similar, you're just going to get a reflection. Tea Cosy, it's like it was even similar colors, which I thought was kind of funny. So I will one day figure out how to share photos on the live, but today we just wanted to see if we could get the live out there. And it looked like I might have one person watching. So if you're watching, say hello. I'd love to know where you're working from. So most folks will see this after the fact, but just want to try something a little bit different. And obviously I'll try to, if I do some more in the future, I'll try to do it where I can broadcast ahead of time. I really just kind of wanted to see technology-wise how it went. So, but if you're watching later, please leave a note in the comments. I have always liked to know what you're working on, what you'd like to be working on, and so forth. So in the next podcast, I am going to, again, I'll talk about the giveaway for the knit along. And I will, I think I've arrived at all but one pattern and yarn pairing for all of, in my case, summer knits. Primarily they're all tanks and tees, I believe. I've got one bamboo blend that I've not quite decided which one to work on, and I got to land. I'm pretty sure I've landed on a cardigan pattern that will kind of be one of the first things kind of into fall. But I'm finding I really need a lighter weight knit cardigan kind of going in and out of the air conditioning. But I'm liking the tees and the tanks. They're really good. And then I can put on a quarter zip or something like that. So when I go in and out of air conditioning, I tend to be quite cold natured. So, but even at 96 degrees, you gotta, you can't wear your full knits. So that is all I have today. I appreciate you watching. I'd love you to leave a comment. Let me know what you think about the live format. I know it'd be probably, if I maybe do once a month live, I think it would be fun and have folks join in. And I will maybe set it I think I can set it like as an upcoming live so that you would know about it. So I'll look for that in the future, but appreciate you hanging in with me today. Let me know what you're working on, and happy knitting, spinning, dyeing, and weaving. Bye, y'all.